Hello YouTube, it is John and Lance. As I mentioned in my last video, I would be doing a dramatic reading of the special Halo Reach limited edition only Dr. Halsey's journal. It should be a very interesting read. I will break it up time to time, mentioning what I know, warning spoilers for the Halo canon. And it's pretty long, so this is going to take a lot of parts. I'm going to try and do it part by part recordings. And I hope you enjoy. Let's get to the first entry and not be too fast. And for those of you who don't know any Halo canon, Dr. Halsey is the creator of the Spartans, essentially the characters you play as in most of the games. Okay, first entry, August 8th, 2510. This would be 42 years before any of the Halo games take place, except for Wars, but I'm talking about the first-person shooters. Can't concentrate today. Haven't been able to for weeks. New ideas, recent insurgent reports. The ubiquitous eye of Oni. Oni translates into Office of Naval Intelligence, watching me. How can I not be distracted? Setting up the new lab has consumed the last few months. I have doubts. I keep wondering whether this is the best course. How did I become involved in this? Carver's report on the colonies surely led me here. That scarcely begins to tell the story. Will clarify my thoughts on this further when I get a chance to breathe. I found this journal in a quaint local shop. Good cup of coffee as well. On my last trip from the main base, writing does help to get it all on paper, out of my head. I need a place to read my personal thoughts, and the most sensitive research notes as I undertake this project, which I simultaneously been inspired by, and dreaded. Reach is the sum of all those things, so it seems fitting that this journal begins here. Am I being a bit sentimental? Yes. Pragmatic? Absolutely. I guess originally she was planning on tweeting all this. Okay, continuing this post. You gotta sketch it or no matter. Despite my artificial intelligence enhanced data recording in my storage systems, I learned long ago that anything stored electronically can be retrieved electronically. Smart. I have no illusions that some within this organization wouldn't hesitate to employ against me the very intrusion algorithms I helped to devise if it suited their self-interests. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Even closer. And I will. And so I begin to learn whether humanity can be saved from itself and the role I will play in its uncertain destiny. Entry number 2. December 4th, 2510. I sit in my new yet unstaffed laboratory, the racks of AI matrices and optical routers still sealed in their crates. And on a side note, half of this I don't even know what I'm talking about when I read this, so don't ask too many questions. I might not be able to answer you. My doubts have returned. Perhaps some reflection on my original motivations for coming here will help. It started 3 years ago when I met the acclaimed Dr. Carver, still the darling of the CMA, don't know what that is, at one of those academic social mixers where everyone is charming and trying to impress project benefactors. Even as doe-eyed doctoral candidate, I detested these affairs, so when I heard Carver describing the matrix mechanics of socio- and political economic vectors of human expansion, I couldn't resist correcting him. His ideas were genius, his algorithm implementation obsolete. I outlined a corrective matrix calculation revising the dimensional parameters in my head. He used 7 when he needed 16. Carver, who had been coasting on the lecture circuit after his initial publication, didn't appreciate the truth, especially from a young upstart. The vice admiral, then a captain, however, took note. If I had known that Carter would commit suicide 2 years later, I may have been more charitable in my presentation. Carter blamed himself for the very carnage he had predicted. A lesson for all scientists resides therein. 3 weeks after that party, my grant proposal for artificial intelligence control for n-dimensional matrices was greenlit by the UNSC, contingent on the successful testing of a model of their choosing. Naturally, it was Carver's. I knew that his flawed model would produce flawed results. To avoid having this reflect poorly on my technique, I ran the correct 16-dimensional variant as a control in addition to his 7-dimensional version. Carver's model predicted A breakdown of social order in the outer colonies within 20 years unless strict governmental control is established, reinforced by an immediate and permanent military presence. This resultant vector was correct, but not the magnitude. I ran more than 1,400 simulations varying every parameter, and in the best case scenario, the outer colonies would rebel, and rebel soon. With FTL-capable transports, any colony converts such vehicles into weapons of mass destruction. FTL, I do know what that means. That means faster than light travel. Minimum effect was 30 years of war and 5 billion dead. The maximum effect was unbound. Interminable war, another dark age for humanity. I took my results to the Vice Admiral, but the UNSC already knew. They had come to a similar conclusion, slightly gratifying tidbit given that I had taken them 3 years of intensive research. Did why make me do the same calculations? The Office of Naval Intelligence had apparently had their eye on me for years and knew that the only way to convince me to join them was to get me to convince me. It worked. I joined. And as Megatron and Beast Wars would say, yes. How many lives must be sent to save all humanity? Is any price too high to pay? This may be our only solution. Now, back to work. We'll sign number at the bottom of the page, and I really like how the guys, who packed this stuff make it look like a real journal. Okay, need more dark coffee. Why can't they grow a decent coffee plant on this planet? I don't know. One more entry for tonight. After there's sort of a brief diagram of body enhancements made to certain organs and eyes and brain, it seems. Okay, February 15th, 2511. While I agree with the original direction of Project Orion, even then they recognized the need for non-traditional forces to remove the budding dissident leadership in the outer colonies without massive carnage. The methodology was unsettling. For Tibet, the Orion Project was essentially the first super soldier project conducted in the Halo universe. Amateurs led by uninformed career military. Orion candidates were volunteers from various UNSC special forces, men and women who were undoubtedly qualified for any military assignment, but they were much too old to undergo genetic augmentation. Inserted gene sequences led to subminimal target changes, while the immunosuppressants failed in most subjects, causing rampant and irreversible genetic fragmentation and degenerate conditions. Another fun fact, I do not know if it's mentioned in here, that Project Orion, which you could call the Pt.1 project, the only successful candidate, ergo the only super soldier created from it, was our very own Sergeant Avery Johnson. Just think about that for a while. Refinement. Next generation candidates must have more malleable, robust DNA structural repair enzymes with satisfactory testing of the L-DNA hydroxyl repolymers. The most suitable candidate would be prepubescent. Another good little diagram of enhancing the body. 2. Orion candidates' genetic screening was wholly inadequate. Refinement. Generation 2 genetic selection criteria are astronomically improbable. Statistically, over 39 billion DNA records are required. The largest DNA database is currently the CAA's Outer Colony Vaccination Program. Colonists tend to avoid registering births and deaths and even paying taxes, but they eagerly milk the free school vaccination program, which regularly catalogs DNA traces from the disposed injectors. Deconvolution techniques can now reconstitute the entire base pair sequence from such a trace, and I intend to recalibrate my selection criteria to look for markers that will accept the sifting process. Okay, I will stop there for now. This is John and Lance. That was part 1 of my Halsey Journal dramatic reading. I hope to see you again in the next part. Signing off.